And here we go. Happy Thursday night, everybody. And welcome to CoMiX SMACK Talk. I'm your host, Clint Olinsky, and with me, as always, Ravishing Rob, Death Raider Hunter. And that's my game show. That's my game show guy voice right there.
Dude, you're getting really, really good at talking and drawing and drinking all at the same time.
I know. It's like the right hand and the left hand. It's like I'm just blazing away.
You know, I had a teacher at Huber School, Tex Blaisdell, and he talked about one night when he had to do an all-nighter to finish the deadline. He fell asleep. He fell asleep on his right arm, and he was right-handed.
Oh no!
When he woke up, he couldn't use his right arm anymore.
His hand was asleep.
So he had to teach himself how to use his left arm to draw.
Oh, did he try to draw with his left hand?
He actually he taught himself to draw with his other arm because he had damaged the nerves. Now people say that the rest of that story is he probably was working and drinking, so he passed out, and so that you don't feel how when you passed out in a strange position.
Yeah,
you pass out drunk, so you don't feel how much pain.
That's kind of extreme.
Cause nerve damage. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But he was a talent. He would bring in stuff that he did when he was in 7th, 8th grade, and we would just look at the stuff and go, "Oh, he's better than everyone in the classroom in first year. He's better than everyone in second year." And this is what he was doing when he was 12.
Yep. I had that guy when I was high school and I was growing up. Me and him were the comic book guys, and we liked to draw. And I always thought he was better than me. And so I'll let the chat know on the right. This is a live draw. That's not live. It's pre-recorded. But just like I couldn't quite pull off drawing and talking last week. It was a little too complicated. It's like walking and chewing gum. So, but
be honest. You're drawing with your mind. It's new software. You've been beta testing for Adobe.
Absolutely. And hey, let's say hey to everybody in the chat here too while we're at it. I know I talked to Marcus earlier. He was talking about Nemor and the Wakanda. Randy is here, and hail Southern Cecil and Marcus. Marcus. Stippling Vaughn is here. Showtime. Welcome, Stippling Vaughn. Thanks for showing up here. Before Clinton's play, I'm on time, man. I hit 8 o'clock on the dot. I'm a pro over here. Southern Cecil, what up?
Hey,
let me make sure that didn't miss anybody from earlier. I know there was one guy that called me a tracer like at 11 o'clock this afternoon. I think I said hi to Randy. Yeah, costume should come with a mask, right? Yeah, Bree's resting bitch face. Although, I'm gonna not defend, but I'm gonna give Brie a little credit as I think she's trying to shift gears. Dick Turtle here, there you go. And then 11 o'clock this afternoon, Colonel Moore just out of nowhere just calls me a tracer.
What?
Not that he's wrong. I'm just, you don't need to say it to my face.
I have a question. Question when someone considers an artist a tracer. Do you consider guys like Al Williamson that was, crushing it on the Flash Gordon cartoon strip, who had file cabinets full of photo reference? Would you call him a tracer?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm just to do my gray marker tone stuff. I'm fucking working the shit out of Google and looking at photo reference and shit, dude. I'm watching DIY YouTube videos. To be honest, as an artist, there's so much competition and the job is so hard, dude. You're gonna get wherever you can figure out how to do stuff. You're gonna just
where you can take shortcuts. When you can take shortcuts, you take them. One of my first gigs was Xena Warrior Princess at Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it had all Tim Bradstreet covers.
And
Tim Bradstreet is considered this great cover artist. He got tons of Punisher covers,
Yeah.
He did a ton of covers at Dark Horse. Like, that's what the dude did. Like,
yeah, he was taking photos of his buddies in his basement.
Yeah,
and tracing it. Yeah,
yeah. He traced photographs and spotted blacks and ink, you know, and like that's what he did for like decades. So,
and Norman Rockwell, his studio for all those incredible paintings that he did. Obviously, he's an American legend and he's a fantastic painter. But he worked from photos in real life. He had a studio full of costumes. So, and all the neighborhood kids and adults, you know, hey, you want to dress up as a mailman today? I got to paint a mailman. You know, all
tons
kind
of
stuff.
photo refs. He referenced the crap out of everything. Now, granted, he'd use those references to like I think mostly freehand draw off of them, but
of course. But same with Alex Ross. Alex Ross does the
same thing. Yep.
Yeah, you know, he's had someone design the costumes when he did that giant run on with all the DC and Marvel.
Hold on, hold on, everybody. We have a very, very special guest tonight. I'm not sure how this happened, but please let me introduce the one, the only. Now I have to figure out how to click him in. Andrew Dollhouse into the stream.
Dude.
Beloved by everyone. Comic book superstar extraordinaire and a cup of wine. That means he wants to talk.
You got to switch me down so that he can be in the middle. Because everyone's seen my face.
I don't.
A million times.
How do I switch down?
There you go. Because I'll be behind the scenes. There, see.
I'm not even sure how I did it though. It's the magic. It's the magic of YouTube.
Once again, it's your mind.
You're
linking with your Adobe. You're drawing and controlling.
I'm moving everything with my mind tonight.
I heard you guys talking. When I went to art school, we had kids that thought that if you use references, it was cheated. You had to do it from memory. And the teacher said quickly, no, because you can't rely on your memory to be accurate. That was stupid.
No, and I mean, like, there's things that literally I can't draw well. Like, I can't draw horses. And then a lot of artists will say this. The joints on horses' legs, I cannot figure them out to draw them freehand. So if they're like this, Xena, one of my first gigs ever, what is Xena? She rides a horse every fucking where. So, like, literally, I was like, I didn't trace, but I wish I had because it would have looked better. But, yeah, I, like, had a photo there, and I just drew the horse from the photo. And, yeah, and cars, too. I can't draw cars the same way.
Yeah, that seems to be what artists talk about, all these cars and horses are the hardest things for them to draw.
There's something weird about cars that it's just, like, I know what a car looks like, and I know how to draw things. But those two things don't go together.
What I loved about the Wastrom Extreme guys, they just made up their own cars and motorcycles so they didn't reference anything.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just and like usually it'd be like a lawn shot or a street shot, and there'd just be these cars in the background. You looked at them close, like they were just kind of blobs. They weren't like real cars. So
and they were just colored nicely.
Yeah,
the color would hold everything together in those backgrounds.
I will absolutely trace a car and not feel bad about it for like one freaking second because it makes the page look better. You know?
Now you can go online and you can get the line drawing outline of a car.
Oh yeah,
you don't have to even worry about like tracing the actual photo of it. You can get a
and just like depending on perspective, you just Google like parked cars and you can get like almost a picture of any car at any angle. So
now when you see guys like Bocello and what they do with they'll take the monster truck and it's jumping through the air and all the rules that he breaks to make them look cooler or more interesting. That's the stuff that I'm always like, that type of stuff is impressive to me. It's people who have mastered those shapes so that they are just drawing from memory because they're just, it really is just kind of
and that's the thing is like, no matter what in arts or anything, there's different skill levels. And there's those sickening people that can just draw anything just by looking at it and like
that guy that just recently died, that Kim.
Oh yeah, he was amazing. Like
he had to have a photographic memory. That was the only way he could have done draw like that from memory.
Yeah, guys like that are working like on a different level. The way Travis Shure draws people, the way like you said, I can never remember his name, but
is it Kim?
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, and he would draw on the wall. He would draw on the wall, and he would start out a character and draw the entire character, and then like the vehicle they were riding, and then the guy next to him riding the same vehicle. And he would just draw these insane things, and it was all just like out of his head. It was
I used to love watching his YouTube videos every day. He would stream every day. I miss seeing his YouTube videos every day.
No, it was amazing, and everything anatomically, perspective, like everything was like he already had the picture in his head. He was just putting it on paper, which was
really like. He would draw all that craziness, and the line weights were really good, so it was still had good separation of all that stuff in black and white.
Insane.
Well, and that's the thing is he was the master of all of it. He was the master of perspective. He was master of line weights, like just the anatomy on the characters. Like I just remember this image of like he drew this guy like riding on like some sort of like sci-fi bike or something, and like just the way the body sat on there. Like just naturally, like he knew the anatomy so well that in any pose he could like nail it. So
because he remembered that. He remembered how to do it. He drew it once, and he could do it, a million times.
Oh, the chat is excited about Andrew.
Oh,
The chat loves when we get special guests.
My office wall is boring. It's just blank beige wall.
No, that is great. That's what I wish I had instead of all the crap piled up behind me. Like I want to get lights. I want to get like a red light and a blue light on each side, so I get that kind of cool lighting effect thing. Like
a lot better. When you used to do art show, it was like you were like in a basement, like plotting ramen.
I was sitting in I was sitting in a small dungeon.
So you spot your blacks on your pencils?
What's that?
You spot your blacks on your pencils? I saw you were spotting the blacks and the blues there.
Oh, like when I was doing the blue line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just dropped color in even on the pencil just because it was fast, so I know here, let's see. What do I have going on here? I'm going around the eyeball.
Yeah, you're messing with it.
This is what I'll do. I thought I could speed this up.
You gotta look into that new Clip Studio 2.0. I think it has I know it does like references for people. I'm not sure if it does for animals and stuff, but it definitely has like 3D figures of people, and it's pretty cool. All the stuff
I want to you keep telling me about all this stuff, and I want to check all this stuff out so badly, and then I just sit and I stuff envelopes for Slave Girl for 8 to 10 hours straight, and I don't get anything accomplished for the day. So, I was proud of myself that I drew this yesterday morning. I think I'm gonna ink the full figure so that we can have it playing in the background. And I was debating on whether to pretend if I was really drawing. I'll be just do this while I'm talking to you guys.
I keep catching myself watching the video instead of saying something. You could just do what George Perez was famous for, and that was laying on his couch and having his lap board over his face, and he could just draw from one corner of the page all the way to the bottom corner, and he'd be done.
These stories always
3 pages like that, 3 pages a day.
I don't know how anybody works like that, and I've heard this. I've heard Rob Liefeld talk about where he would just draw on his lap with a flat board or something, and he would draw all his stuff sitting in a car or whatever in a parking lot.
You ever see that video of Rob inking a page from was it Deathstroke or something, New 52 while driving?
While driving.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I was telling a buddy about it the other day, and I actually Googled it, and it's still up. I would have destroyed that evidence, but It's still out there on the interwebs if you Google it.
That's insane. That's insane. Superior's ladies man is still in its second 30 days. Yeah. Death Raider and Death Raider is in demand. Superior's is live. The links are here. We go. We're not even going to go over campaigns, or maybe we'll pick a spot to go over them. We're the worst at promoting our own campaigns. We just start shooting the shit. But links to the campaigns are in the description below the video here. And I don't know, how do I give anybody a wrench so they can post links? Like I thought you used to be able to, if you clicked on the 3 dots, you could give somebody a wrench. Somebody in the chat wants to tell me how to give you a wrench. I'll do it so that you can post some links.
I had a wrench for Ethan's for CoMiX Kings. And when he kicked me off the show one day and I lost it. People are like, you gotta quit getting kicked off the show, Rob. I'm like, dude, I don't do it on purpose.
No, you just pop off and it's all right. We got to give Rob a timeout. I have talked to Mandy since she's been back. I'm so glad she's back. I think that was traumatic for everybody, but yeah. She's finishing up delivering Pirate Queen. She's getting towards the end of that, which is awesome because that was a really big campaign for us. So she's getting that wrapped up, but she's got a full plate with everything that's going on. That's a busy girl there, but she's doing great, and it's great to have her back. So
Rob, where did you move from when you ended up in Florida for CrossGen?
Wait, ask that one more time.
Where you originally lived before you moved to Florida? Were you always in Florida?
Oh, no. I lived in Western New York. I lived in the poorest county. I lived in Steuben County, which is the poorest county in New York State. So it was a great place to live. It was beautiful, It has the leaves changing in the fall and things like that. But one of the reasons I became a comic artist instead of just, being able to just work for local industry. You know how get a job when you're 18, and by the time you're 35, you're a manager of something, and you do your job in your sleep, and you make 5 times what I make. But those options.
But you're not bitter. But you're not bitter.
But those options weren't available. So now I'm a comic artist. So someone mentioned in chat, people having to. They're thankful for in demand because they live paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, dude,
yeah. That's 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with less than $200 savings. If they have they've said that if they had a $400 emergency expense, they wouldn't be able to pay it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the nice thing about stretching these campaigns out, and just, a lot of people are interested in these books. You want to give everybody the opportunity. So in demand really does help out to let everybody get a chance at it too. So it is a really nice aspect of Indiegogo. Simply Mom's got a good question here, and I can talk about this just a little bit. So I've been drawing on Clip Studios. His question is how big is the difference between Clip Studios and Procreate?
Is it one free?
What's that?
Isn't Procreate free?
Yeah, if you get the what is it, the iPad Pro or whatever, it comes with it. I've been using Clip Studios for over 4 years now. And then obviously with Procreate, you're on an iPad smaller. I think the biggest one is 10.5 inches or something. And so that right there is the biggest difference, because I can have a 22-inch screen with the Wacom and use Clip Studios on it, as opposed to with my my iPad Pro. And I know artists
Clint, is that what you're using right now? Is this with?
This is Clip Studios on a Wacom.
Okay.
Yep, this is Clip Studios on a Wacom. What I'm doing right here. And I know pro artists that swear by Procreate and do all their work on Procreate. To me, it's too small. And I've used Clip Studios more, so I'm just more proficient with it. So I'm going to have a better better view of Clip Studios. I think Procreate, you can do all the same stuff, especially if you're using it exclusively. You'll just get better using it that way.
Well, does
like any tool,
and Clip Studio looks similarly on the iPad. It's the interface is almost exactly the same.
Clip Studios on the iPad.
Yeah, with Procreate.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Wacom,
between both,
or not,
and they look pretty much the same.
Yeah, but that's the thing with the Procreate is the Procreate setup is way different. Like to me, Clip Studios is much closer to Photoshop, and I've always known Photoshop, so it was an easy transition from Photoshop to Clip Studios. Whereas the Procreate setup, it's that Apple, it's a different, the left side of your brain versus the right side of your brain kind of setup. So
yeah,
I prefer Clip Studios by a lot.
No, I know this
What's
artist
that?
bought the whole setup, the 24-inch Cintiq and everything, and then like a month later, he was like, "Oh, let me try the iPad," and his Cintiq is collecting dust now because he only uses the iPad now to draw.
Oh, who's that?
This South American guy I worked with at Value.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he liked Procreate and his iPad Pro that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing is I think it will be different for each person individually. It's kind of your preference and your taste, and like some people will like sink into how the, like I said, I used Photoshop before, so Clip Studios was just slightly different than Photoshop, so it was more comfortable for me. But
well, I think a lot of those guys like the portability of it. They can go anywhere.
Oh yeah,
and
that's the thing is like
I've
if you
heard
want to
that.
be. That's why I got it. I got it so that I could get out of the house once in a while and draw, especially in the winter, like go to a coffee shop or something. I've had it for 2 years. I've still yet to actually draw anywhere outside of the house.
Isn't it also Clip Studio? You can buy it compared to Adobe, which you have to pay for it. Because I'm on that $20 a month or whatever Adobe, and it makes me angry every time I see it taken out of my my checking account. I'm like, just let me buy it and be done with it. Come on, man.
You can buy it, but now they have Clip Studio 2.0 that has a lot more stuff in it, and that's a monthly subscription, but it has a lot more features that regular
really
doesn't have.
So even Clip Studio went the way of Adobe.
But you can still buy the regular Clip Studio 1.0 and use that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, because that annoys me with Adobe.
And I think I am going to eventually subscribe.
Well, I mean, it's way cheaper than Adobe ever was. I don't know how anyone afforded Photoshop. It was like $1,000 when I was in school.
Oh yeah, and then it was. I remember it was $600 when I downloaded a cracked version of like Adobe 6 or whatever, Adobe Photoshop CS.
Oh, you can
and I used that forever.
You can go on Amazon right now and try to buy like new box versions of the older ones, and they're selling them for like $1,200 or higher.
Just because you don't have to pay the subscription.
Because people don't want to do the subscription, but you can buy like original, like still in the box.
Yeah.
With the numbers versions, yeah.
Damn Adobe. Like they don't make enough money. Unfortunately.
I was forced to buy the subscription because my computer died and I lost my serial number for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had to get the subscription.
Oh.
I'm on subscription with Adobe also, so I feel your pain, Andrew. I was having so many computer problems. I thought a new Adobe Photoshop would fix some of those Adobe crashing computer problems. And I've learned that there's a lot more crashing Adobe computer problems, and I'm paying a subscription.
I'm always scared to upgrade to the newer version.
Well, it seems to work really well for the first 2 days that you update, and then the crashes will, sneak up on you.
Yeah, my wife uses it too because she's a photographer, so she she likes all the cool bells and whistles they put in it for the photographers. So she uses more of the features than I use. I'm just like the basic bare bones. She's using all the AI color filter and things and all that other fancy stuff on it. So She loves it.
Ladies, man, why would we want to buy a Spider-Man comic?
Because
I haven't bought Spider-Man since Larson and McFarlane drew it.
I'm gonna use that as a segue. Let's see here. I've got so many freaking screens up on my thing though. There we go.
We all know that she dies in that issue, even if it's short term. But I would still never buy that book. There's no way.
Well, no, she's gonna be back in 2 months.
Yeah,
they'll have her back before the movie, but it's like, yeah. I love, well, like the legs on Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm. There, just like that's just. Oh, didn't zoom in. Whatever. It just. I don't know. John Romita Jr. was a great artist in his time, but this is not one of the all-time classic covers of all time. But
he's on his retirement run.
Yeah,
he's like, wait, the colorist wants to do more work. Okay, I'll let my colorist do painting everything.
I'll let the colors do all the work, but like, yeah, there's the article. Killing Miss Marvel isn't shocking. It's just lazy because we've all been through this like a bazillion times, and I don't think this is even registering with mainstream media. Is like nobody like in an actual major website cares that Miss Marvel is dying in comics because they're not naive enough to fall for the old the clickbait switch.
Well,
it's not like it was a
comics. It was right when Superman died, and even I know that wasn't going to be permanent.
Yeah, and Superman was DC's #1 character. Ms. Marvel is a book that they've canceled how many times? 4 times, 5 times, right. 3 times.
Well, how long did Superman even stay dead? Was it like 6 months?
No, it was like a year. There was a year where there was all those replacement Supermen.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so they had a plan and they were committed to it. I'm pretty sure Marvel has no plans because it's the editor. There's the 4 editors left running around trying to play traffic cop, and I've heard writers, they can't even get their editors on the phone to talk about projects. So
Oh, that's the thing is they're so understaffed because they're so short on money now.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure.
Don't die midstream, Rob.
Well, I'm I'm drinking a protein shake and it's got a oatmeal blended up in it, so it's a little chunky. It's a little chunky. That's why I drink and chew.
Do the quick oats.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the quick oats are a lot better. Yeah.
It's quick oats, protein powder, some blueberries, a banana, and it's a little chunky. That's why I'm drinking and chewing at the same time.
I need to go back to the oatmeal in my protein shake. I used to do that every morning.
Just don't eat anything. If you want to lose weight, just don't eat anything till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's been working.
I'm not Terry Crews. Can't do that.
No solid food till 4 in the afternoon, man. I lost 16 pounds.
Well, fasting. Lots of people they love it. They fast, so you can eat for 4 hours and you fast for the other 16 to 20, depending on
And then those 4 hours, you can just eat garbage.
Yeah, just eat pizza, chicken wings, drink as much liquor as you want.
I had pizza and Cheetos for dinner tonight, and I guarantee you I'll have lost a pound tomorrow. And I had pizza and Cheetos for dinner.
Your wife lets you eat that for dinner?
She had a work thing tonight.
So he eats like a kid.
But literally, when you starve yourself till 4 in the afternoon, like you can eat pizza and Cheetos, and the next day you'll step on the scale and be like, "Yes."
Clint, I just saw a thing that said that Green Bay, Wisconsin, is the #1 best city to live in the United States.
Yeah,
do you agree with that as an anti-Packers fan?
I would recommend that everybody like pick up stakes right now and move to Green Bay and see how much you enjoy it.
Especially the winter time.
Well, like their winter,
how they made that list.
Yeah, their winter isn't even as bad as us. There's always these stupid articles for like, oh, living in this Midwest city is way better than living by the ocean. It's like, yeah, come here in February. There's articles about Duluth all the time that like, oh, East and West Coasters are buying land or buying property in Duluth to get away from harsh climates and stuff. And it's like, yeah, they'll come here in like July and August and September, and it's gorgeous. But yeah, stay here till November, December, January, February, March, and April, and then May when it stops snowing. And let me know
that. Do that in Montana, so they enjoy the summers and stuff, and then they bounce in the winter.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of these coastal people, east or west, they're very well off. So like having like a summer home or like, you know, someplace, because like in the summer and especially fall, like fall is the time to be here. If you like hiking, if you like being outdoors, if you like wildlife, if you like the leaves changing, Minnesota is absolutely like perfect in September and October. So yeah, like there's probably people that buy houses up here to come up here and stay for like 3 weeks, you know. And then
I see a lot of Michigan plates here in Florida.
Oh yeah.
So they're here for the warm months, but not the hot months, because then they go back to Michigan. So yeah, and if you have the money for 2 houses, and man, I wouldn't want to make that drive unless I had a car that was at least, you know, I mean, dude, I'm still driving my Saturn 2005, so there's no way. Even if someone said, "Hey, dude, you can have a second house in Michigan," I'd be like, "Well, that's great. I'm not driving it in a Saturn 2005 every year."
If it wasn't for my wife, I would still be driving my 1993 Geo Prism. That car was the greatest car that I ever had. I sold it after I'd owned it it was 18 years old. If I would have held on to it for 2 more years, I could have put collector's plates on it. Great.
Really? If it's 20 years old?
20 years old, it's a collector. You can put collector's plates on it.
What does that mean, though? Is there cheaper insurance or a cheaper
I don't know.
registration?
Just show off. Just show off.
Look, I can't afford a new car.
We should get cheaper insurance as comic creators. We do way less than the average, 10 to 15,000 miles a year.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Insurance should be next to nothing.
There should be specialty insurance for comic creators because you don't ever go anywhere.
You never leave the house.
Like
I put miles on my car because of cons.
Conventions. Yeah.
Like
in the winter, my big, like, I get excited when I go down to the gas station and pick up some snacks just to like, there's like 2 or 3 people in there. And like, I know the person behind the checkout thing by name. Cause it's like, you're the only person I've seen in 3 days besides my wife.
Dude, that's awesome.
Oh, it's not awesome, Rob. But
I always wonder there'd be a time where my car would break down on the way to a con and it's stuffed full of prints and all the stuff I bring with me. And I'm like, could I just, burn it from, like just light it on fire and just walk away from it?
It was fine when I left. I'm not sure what happened to it all.
Wait, what happened to MegaCon? Does Reed Pop own that now? Who owns MegaCon?
Fan Expo. So whoever owns Fan Expo. I haven't gone in 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah,
I've been back to the CrossGen days.
Oh, dude. Those were fun times. Those were fun times. It even when I was still really busy at DC, MegaCon was still really good to me. But after DC, MegaCon started to really slow down. I didn't see that traffic I used to see. So,
yeah, remember the last MegaCon I went to? That was when they used to have a bunch of porn stars at cons back then.
I don't remember that.
You don't? What was that one? Do you remember Drew Pasoda? No. That one colorist that worked for Extreme Studios. He would do those really realistic color things.
No.
There were some chicks that used to come there. He would do. He would do paintings of them and stuff. And,
wait, is that the guy that would do the bondage paintings? Was that the dude? There's a guy that was always at the Pittsburgh Con.
I don't know.
When I was still living in New York.
Some years ago.
Oh, he was always very popular, and everything he drew was, chicks wrapped up in like bandages and stuff like that.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Digitally, it was digital coloring and stuff, but yeah.
I remember when
it was the same time they used to have wrestlers at all those cons all the time.
The wrestlers.
Yes. Yep.
But there was a point where all of a sudden all the conventions started cracking down on booth babes. Yeah. Like right around probably early 2000s, because in the 90s, like you'd walk through a convention and there'd be like a bikini chick at every other table, like wearing some like skimpy outfit or whatever. I mean, I remember Dynamite, Avatar, all those like, small press guys would have like a booth babe. And but yeah, I think around the early 2000s they started cracking down at that at some of the major conventions.
Yeah. It was the con I met you was the last con. I think they started cracking down. It was after that one. And it wasn't like just everyone. It was like the super popular horse riders. It was like maybe 2 or 3 of them. It wasn't like a whole gaggle of them, but.
Well, and I mean, even in those days, I remember San Diego, probably in the late 90s, where like DC had hired like actual models, like male and female, to like come out in costume. And like literally those were like the most comic, like the best costumes I'd ever seen, better than the movies, for translating from what the comics were. Because I remember the one year there was a Flash and there was a Wonder Woman. And like
that was 90s money.
Yep. They looked like they stepped off the page. And like the dude was ripped and tall. The woman was just gorgeous. And the costumes looked completely comic accurate. And I was like, holy shit, that is so freaking cool. But again, that was in the heyday of the good old days when they would do stuff like that. And that's long behind, unfortunately. Southern Cecil would make a great booth, no doubt.
Is that sarcasm?
No, he'd be fine. I'm sure he'd get lots of attention.
So, the old costume days, did you actually do more than 1 page a day? Were you allowed to do more than 1 page a day?
Well, here's the thing, because my inks were completely different than the rest of the studio, that if I inked more than one, I could, if I could ink 3 pages a day, I could just do my 5 pages and then, pretend I'm busy, talk to Andy for 3 days until Friday came around. But even when a book would be late and they needed help, they would never ask me. Like other guys were working the weekends, but they never asked me because the pencilers were uptight that, Rob is going to give them the image look. And all the pencilers had that weird, they all wanted to be have the brushy, really simple outlines.
Who was the dude that drew? Oh, he was. And this is. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this. He drew like it was like, was it a teenage girl or something? And he drew like he was. Yes, Josh Middleton. That's exactly.
Yeah, he was gone by the time I got to Cross.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, he.
So I'm like, why are they hyping this dude up? He draws like he's a 13-year-old girl drawing like bunnies in his notebook.
I remember the controversy. Was it true he was pretending to be someone else on a message board and trashing CrossGen, and that's why he got canned or something?
Oh, probably because there's so much drama. Because it really, CrossGen, if especially in the beginning, if you were hired by Mark Alessi, one, you got a way bigger paycheck than you were ever going to make at Marvel or DC, especially if you were a new guy. Two, Mark Alessi was really he was a fantastic salesman. And you're talking about guys who've never really, especially those new guys who haven't done a lot of work. So they have, honestly, in comics, when you're new, you get, we all know this, you get beat down and then you start to understand the rules. Yeah. You just got to get beat for a while, like an old cow or something. And then you're like, oh, I can't say this. I shouldn't say this. So remember was it the Lee brothers or the Lou brothers.
Oh, the Lou brothers. I remember them.
Yeah.
They at one point in a meeting with their writer, one of them jumped up on the giant conference table and was screaming, "This story is shit. This story is shit. Why do we have to draw this?" They were right. The book was a piece of shit. And I remember, like, when I heard that story, I'm like, well, the book was a piece of shit. It was boring.
What were they doing? They were doing
the soldier.
Sigil.
Yes, the Sigil book. And, people, even other professionals said that Mark Alessi was more impressed with their iPad Pro or whatever laptop with the demonstration of their artwork more than their actual skill. So they were good at doing the flashy, like maybe they had done some flash animation showing off their artwork, whatever. They weren't the best artists.
These were the guys that sued Marvel because they said that they stole the Iron Man armor idea.
They also sued the military. The United
States their book, right?
Same thing. It was MIT that was making military armor. Yeah.
So they might have been a little cuckoo.
Yeah. But dude, the first 4 books at CrossGen sunk the company because those books were not what the market needed or wanted. Their business model was set up so that Mark would lose $2 million a year and it would be fine, except for Mark lost half of his net worth because of that 2000 market crash. But they didn't change the business model of the company. They still went with the same business model. They went with the same business space, big office space. They went with the same stuff. And so then they were always chasing after, instead of, because they had this they initially had an attitude, we could lose this money, people will eventually like these books. We are looking for an audience that maybe isn't really there, but we're going to convince the audience that's there, and we're going to bring in new people with books like Meridian, which is for kids and little girls, the people who aren't buying comics. So they thought they would just win the long race. But they started up and they're like, oh, we have to win the short-term race and the long race. So they would spend more money than they'd even planned to, trying to, win those sprints. And it just, they just kept chasing after, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because those first 4 books, which really were kind of co-designed by Mark Alessi, because we're talking about a bunch of comic book people who all of a sudden you're going to promise them you get paid every 2 weeks. And if the company succeeds, they'll succeed and always have a place to work. So they're going to just nod their head and say, sure. Hey, I mean, dude, do you remember some of the cover designs, like Mystique and stuff that Brandon Peterson would have to draw? That's because the boss approved the layouts. I remember going, why is Brandon Peterson drawing this shit for Mystique? And they're like, well, the boss approved that layout. I'm like, that layout's terrible. It's boring as F. It's like, well, the boss wants the book to look that way. I'm like, dude, you got Brandon Peterson. He was one of the, top 10 pencilers at the time. I mean, his Spawn Witchblade is still one of my favorite comic books for artwork.
His glory.
So yeah, it just the company, because dude, I mean, what Tony Bedard did there later, what Chuck Dixon did there later. Those books were the books that could have. Those were the.
I'm still mad they didn't finish.
I know, dude. I even got Tony Bedard made me the main villain.
Negation was like must-watch TV every month for me. Like that book was worth the price of admission.
Yeah. What Tony told me, he goes, hey, he goes, the main bad guy, the guy that's the ruler of the other universe. I'm like, yeah. He goes, he goes, you know what his real name is? And he goes, and he told me, and he goes, you know what that's short for? And he just looks at me with this really funny smile. He goes, Bobby C. Because you sound like a dictator that would rule the universe if you could. He goes, so we named the character after you. And I'm like, oh, this company's falling apart. I was going to be immortalized.
So are any of those writers like I remember like Tony Bedard's name being around. Like, what are those guys doing now? Like, what happens to these writers that just they just kind of fall off the tracks and just
I hired him. I hired him for Phenom. So Tony did a book that's actually on Kickstarter right now called Star Riders. He wrote Star Riders.
Oh, cool.
But now
okay.
He's working in the video game field.
Video game.
So he got smart.
One of those Call of Duty games, right? Or something, I think.
Mm-hmm. He got smart. And now he works in video games.
It's like whenever anybody that you really like that was talented disappears, it's always like they went into commercial art, or they went into video games, or they went into an industry where there's actual money.
they got tired of the struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like Tony would always talk about in interviews how much he loved Aquaman, and they never gave him a chance to write Aquaman, which I thought, like, I missed out on seeing what he would have done on that book, because I thought he would have done something really good with it.
Do you remember the shit books they gave him, and they were cool?
Yeah.
They gave him Legion. They gave him what? Legion 90 or whatever. And
that's when you know you've got a good writer, is when they give him the crap books and he all of a sudden starts turning them around, and like it's like, oh shit, this book's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Legion Rebel or whatever, the Rebel Legion or whatever the hell that was.
Oh yeah, the Rebels, like already, it was like yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, Steve Epting's book was pretty good too.
I forgot what that was called.
I always forget the name of it.
I remember Steve Epting on the Avengers when Bob Harris was writing it, and they all wore the leather jackets, and like Black Knight was leading the squad.
Yeah, that was when Steve, I think, was still trying to do like his version of Buscema.
Yeah, that's what he. Yep, that's exactly what he was doing. And I think Tom Palmer was inking him on those,
which made it more Buscema.
Yeah, like it was very retro look. But those were good books. Those were fun books. It was just they were trying to like kind of do what the X-Men had done, but then doing like an old school version of it, which was really fun with the characters they had.
Yeah, I really think Steve is one of those guys that really benefited from cross-gen, and I think he kind of really found that next level that he needed with his storytelling and stuff.
Well,
some people
collab with Frank was like money, like because they run on Captain America when they reintroduced Bucky Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Epting, wasn't it?
They just did before the Secret Wars 2. What Steve just did, the Avengers thing they did a couple years ago when they did the Incursion, that was some good stuff. He draws a really
that's cool. I didn't see it.
That was Epting on Captain America.
Yeah, Steve Epting when they reintroduced Bucky as Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, but I couldn't remember if that was Epting or not. But yeah, that was. You're right.
We can change his style on Steve's, depends on the story, and it still looks, because his rendering on Cap was different than what he did on that Avengers story, and it still looks really good.
Yeah.
Now Steve will
Epting's one of those artists where the inker can really.
Well, he posts up his doodles on Procreate on Instagram, and they're awesome. He'll be like, hey, I just hit pause on the DVD player and did a study of this character, and you're just looking at it going, is he working on movie stuff? Is he doing movie concept stuff? Because that's what he should be doing. Like, you look at that and you're like, oh, I bet he did that super fast too.
Probably.
Yeah,
I think he does.
I'll buy anything he does.
Whenever there's a really good
talk, Clint, go.
Yeah, I think there's a delay. I keep talking over everybody. Sorry.
I want to see Greg go back to drawing Nightwing.
DC won't pay anybody. Yeah, DC won't pay anybody anymore, will they?
That's the thing, is like these artists that have gigs at DC that are paying decent right now, they've got to be holding on to them with white knuckles, because they have to hear the stories of what some of these page rates are, and if you're not under one of these exclusive contracts, you're going to be screwed. And I don't think there's any like there's just a handful of guys that are making decent money, and everybody else is just working for chump change.
Well, they all left. Brett left.
Yeah.
Dave Finch left. Who's left? Ivan Rice. I think they realized they had to keep Ivan.
Yeah. Although I haven't seen Ivan do anything in a long time.
He's been working on Detective, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's always posting his Batman stuff on Instagram.
Okay.
I found him there.
Yeah, and
he's
Ivan. Yep, and Ivan would be one of the top guys there, but like you can count the top guys in two hands, and you might not make it all the way to 10.
I know DC needs another Blackest Night because that made everyone popular and made DC a ton of money. That thing lasted like what 2-3 years or so.
Yeah,
Andrew,
that was 10 years ago. Like
why would a writer write that for him now? They write it for him for reduced rates and so that it can be $1 billion movie.
Well, and
like here's your check. And if you're lucky, they're friendly with your check. Otherwise, you're like, hey, thanks for we paid you $2,000 a book to write this amazing story that we turned into 2 different movies and we made $2 billion off.
Blackest Night can never be a movie. Can you imagine that? No one would want to go see those depressing movies for a whole.
Oh, I don't know.
A whole phase of just
they would tweak it. Like imagine like Superman and Batman fighting zombies. Like I think people would show up for that. You'd have to tweak the concept. But the other thing about that was Jeff was like, this was like Jeff in his prime. He was like all powerful back then. Like he was like when Bendis was in his prime at Marvel. Like those guys had so much power that they could say, this is what we're doing. It's going to be these books getting crossovered, and I'm going to write it all, and I'm going to like give the other writers notes to follow what I'm doing. Like there's not too many guys that had that kind of power anymore.
Well, Dan actually told Jeff because Jeff's Sinestro War was so cool. And Dan says, hey, we missed the boat on your Sinestro War. It really should have been a lot more than it was. So your next big story, we'll make sure it's an event. And that's how that's why Blackest Night turned into Blackest Night, because Dan kind of was like, oh man, we kind of messed up with Sinestro War. We could have really taken advantage of that. But dude, what's hilarious about the Blackest Night is that the core book, the miniseries that Ivan penciled and Jeff wrote, that sucked because it was all explaining. Everyone else just got to do like the dead Dr. Light in Justice League fighting a bunch of lame Justice League characters, but all the action was in everyone else's
books. Yeah.
And the miniseries had to freaking explain all the boring stuff. Yeah. I remember looking at it going, because DC at the time sent me everything. They sent me everything for free, and I'm like, boy, this thing sucked. This is boring. Everybody else got the good stuff. Everyone got the action.
You were inking Bendis on a thing. No, Bendis on a 5-issue miniseries thing over there during that time.
I did the first 2 issues of the Teen Titans Blackest Night.
That's right, yeah.
Because I made the mistake of trying to ink Mark Bagley and Ed Bennis at the same time, and at one point I had an entire issue of Justice League pencils waiting for me. And that's when I really felt the pressure of like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to ink Ed Bennis on Blackest Night Teen Titans. And it makes me sad to this day because the artwork was so fun and so cool.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And even my honeymoon interrupted. I only got to do like 8 pages of the Justice League Blackest Night. And that issue sold way more than any of the other books. And I'm just like, oh, this timing just worked out really poor.
It's crazy that starts inking like you now. Like he didn't used to ink his stuff the way you did it. Now he inks his stuff the way you inked him. Every time I see him, I'm like, look at him.
What is Ed doing? I haven't seen any of his stuff in a long time. Is he doing? He's not doing anything.
He has a school, and unfortunately, Ed treats everyone like his students. Because I found out Ed worked in the Deodato studio. So that studio, when you pretty much you get paid nothing and you work for the artist. So he killed himself and learned a lot to make Diodato lots and lots of money. So then when Ed became somebody, he has a studio of people who work very hard for him to make a lot of money. Unfortunately, he treats everyone around him in the comic book business the same way. He treats them as, his students and his assistants, because he's an amazing artist. But I think the last thing he did for DC, he's supposed to only pencil it. Someone was supposed to ink it. They kept emailing him saying, "Ed, we need to see some pages. We got to get the pages inked. We need to see some pages." Like, he did turn in pages, and then the day that the book was due, he turned in half the book because he slowly had turned in half the book pencils. The second half of the book he penciled and inked himself and turned it in on the day that everything was due. And DC had already they had another inker inking blue lines from the pencil scans that he had been sending. So they're like, dude, communication, just talk to us.
Yeah, just let him know.
So I think that was the last thing he did. Because, dude, at the very least, he should at least be still doing covers for DC.
Oh,
with all the stupid variant covers that they do now, why isn't he just doing a slew of covers?
His Justice League with what's his name was peak Ed Benes. Was that one writer that did?
Was that the Red Tornado storyline?
Yeah, who's the writer? What the hell's his name?
Well,
where he killed.
McDuffie did a couple issues.
Who?
And McDuffie did. He did a couple of issues of that, but it started.
End of that. No, I'm talking about the guy that launched that Justice League. He was the one that did that book where Sue Dibney got killed.
Yeah, isn't he the guy who
Brad Meltzer?
Meltzer. Yeah, he's too big.
He did that whole Red Tornado storyline, and I remember Ed Benes drawing that.
Yeah. And then his Black Canary, his Birds of Prey with Gail Simone, that was really good stuff.
Oh yeah, like he's
on point.
He should have always been drawing the hot chicks in the DC universe, like all the Birds of Prey stuff. Like that should have been where he was permanently. Because
he came to my attention when he was doing Supergirl in the '90s, like the late '90s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With Peter David towards the end of that run, he was like. He came in like how Stephen Platt came in on the end of Moon Knight, and he became popular like he did on Supergirl.
Those freaking Moon Knight pages with Stephen Platt were insane, man.
Now you look at him and you're like, it's still kind of cool, but it's awful.
Oh, it's awful. Nothing has ever been more awful and awesome at the same time. Like every one of those muscles looks like it's gonna rupture.
It's just like the '90s comics are just like '90s or '80s movies. Like I had a crazy deadline this weekend, and I was just binging '80s and '90s movies, and I was like, "These movies are great. They're bad, but they're good.
They were fun. They were stupid.
Yeah, they were fun. Like Total Recall is a stupid movie, but it's freaking fun.
Total Recall is an awesome movie.
That's what '90s comics were. They were stupid fun, and there's no fun movies like that anymore either. That's why I prefer if I go log on and I see like a Rotten Tomato score at 40, I'm watching that movie.
Oh yeah, that's like the best time.
I'm giving it a shot.
Well, Meltzer on was it Metzler on Justice League, he was smart enough to use all the villains and all the heroes, like all the Justice League characters that you wanted in Justice League were in the team, and all the villains you wanted to see, you would see them. Like they even had Legion characters. They had the Legion of Superheroes story line in there. They had everybody, and then I got to do Justice League, and it's Vibe and Kongorilla and.
Oh yeah,
Robin dresses Batman.
You like, get the fun stuff.
It's like when I did Justice League with Brett. It wasn't none of the core characters. It was It was Supergirl. It was Flash.
Yeah, because Brett was after Bagley. Yeah. You still had all the shit. You had the shit fumes from the awful stories.
They should have made it funny. You had Blue Beetle and Booster Gold in there. Martian Manhunter.
Blue Beetle was dead.
Yeah, he was just shot in the head, right?
Yeah.
God, there was just some terrible ideas that
I was literally shocked when I read that. And I turned the page and saw that he got his head blown off. And then one woman snapped Maxwell Lord's neck for killing Blue Beetle.
Yeah, and it was just like, what is this shit? That was just pure shit. That was and that like created the universe where like we're in today of shock value over actually good writing.
Sold those pages then when they were at peak value.
Oh yeah.
I managed those pages where Booster Gold got killed.
When Blue Beetle?
Yeah.
Oh, you had some of the original art?
Huh?
What are you saying? You had some of the original art?
I hope Phil sold them then when it was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when they were worth something.
That for it now, so yeah.
Oh yeah, because that they bring everybody back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
So they're not worth what they were back then.
No, I did Suicide Squad, and the trade paperback came out, and I'm like, oh sweet, I'm going to be in the first trade paperback because I worked on issues 4 through 8, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then when I found out Jim Lee was launching the new Suicide Squad because the movie was coming out, I'm like, there goes any royalties for Suicide Squad. I'll get one royalty check from my Suicide Squad, and then that'll be it. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
Well, I got one check. Yeah, like the publishers turn everything over so fast, and I think that's part of it. They don't want to pay royalties. They want those number ones over and over and over again. But dude, there's no loyalty. There's no brand loyalty. There's no character loyalty. It's all just,
it's as cutthroat as it can be, and like each editor's got their own agenda, and none of it is like to be true to the fans or the characters. It's like I need to like make a splash. I need to like have websites covering our thing. Like we need to. It's whatever the social media universe that exists now is like telling a good story and getting a loyal fan base and selling more books. That is not how comics operate.
There's never a question now. There's never like, oh my God, this writer just pitched this amazing book. We need to find an artist that will be perfect for it. That never happens. It's the group editor says, hey, we need 4 new books for this quarter. You are in charge of 2 of these new books. Go find them. And then it's whoever they just happen to have a conversation with that week or in that 2 weeks. It's like, dude, I just got to get this rolling. These books have to come out this quarter.
Yeah. Whoever's around handy that gets along with the editor and will take a shitty page, right?
Yeah. It's never like, oh, well, this.
That all I should have been doing all these years?
Pretty much.
It's never like, oh my God, I just got these samples from this guy who did a couple books over at Marvel. He does amazing big guys. We got to do a big guy comic book or at least a miniseries. No, it never works that way. It's like, who's available for this shitty book that will probably cancel by issue 7? I will never apologize for my my Justice League run because I got to sell all of the Mark Bagley pages for a pretty good rate. So Bagley did a great vibe. Bagley did he did lots of great action stuff.
I think
I had I wish I was
as a vibe fan here, so he was.
Do you ever keep any original art for yourself?
I will hold on to pages, and then what would happen is I wouldn't hear from an editor for 3 weeks, and I would start looking at my checking account, and then I would sell it. Or actually now, dude, it's been years. So I've gone through all my DC pages just trying to cover the bills and stuff. So I can't keep any of it. Even the stuff that I told myself I would never sell. I was like, oh, here we go. It's coming to me. It's coming with me to the con because I need some cash.
I always heard that unless you wanted like first dibs on buying stuff, did he pay good rates for the?
Yeah, well, he was never to be honest, he was never buying the books I worked on at Caution. He would buy. He was always arguing with Greg Land. Like, dude, if Greg Land, like, we always would know the day Leslie was looking through artwork to buy, because Greg Land would get called over the intercom, and we wouldn't see him for 2 hours, because Greg, the contracts, because we all had contracts that would say that we would sell splash pages or interiors to the boss for a certain price. And I don't know what Greg's contract said, but whatever his contract said for the artwork that Alessi would buy the pages for was a lot less than what Greg could sell those pages for on the market, because Greg became more of a popular artist.
Yeah.
The book was one of the more popular books. So, dude, I heard that those conversations would get super heated. Like Greg would be calling him a son of a bitch. Now, that could be just people telling me exaggeration, but I know Greg was always a super, super nice guy to me. But I know what he could sell his pages for was a priority. Anybody, money is a priority when you think of, no matter what someone might be paying you, knowing that selling the pages, go into savings or retirement or whatever, because Greg, like everybody else, didn't know how long Crash would last. So I think those conversations would get heated, because that book was always a tight deadline, and Greg would spend 2 hours in the room with Alessi talking about those pages. So,
did you ink graph or no? I can't remember.
No, Roland did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I inked some of Andre DeVito on the first. But I had a conversation with the boss, who the boss said I could be working hard. I could be doing more to help Andrea. So I took that as make him look like Dale Keown or an image guy. No. That's not what they meant. They wanted Andrea to look more like Buscema. And I'm like, why the F did you hire me then? So I kept imaging up Andrea's pencils and making Andrea crazy. And I'm like, man, I'm kicking ass. I'm making him look like a star. And he's, if he had hair, he was pulling it out.
Who was inking Greg Land back then? Because I don't think Leaston was on him at CrossGen or.
No, Drew Dracy.
Okay. Oh, Dracy. Okay, I remember that now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever keep in touch with Justin?
Panzer?
Yeah.
Oh, he died of cancer.
No, I know. Did you ever keep in touch with him when you had left?
Oh no. Well, we all had our little cliques of who we would hang out with, who would we go to lunch with and stuff. So I would go to lunch with like Andy Smith and Aaron Lopresti. I was hanging out with Bart and all those guys. I was never with the Justin and like Frank, because like Frank and a couple of the other guys, they all rented a house together. Maury, those guys. We were all friendly to each other at work, but yeah, I never saw them outside of work.
No, I always thought Justin was the best colorist ever.
Dude, when I would hear him explain to other people the color stuff and the storytelling behind it, and I'd just be like, I'd be sitting there going, this motherfucker's on a whole other level.
I know. I remember when you were Comic Con and he was explaining to me like how he colors fingers and ears and why he does, and I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. I would never put that much thought into it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. He was.
You watch like Avengers Endgame. His color palette is all over that movie. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I wonder if you got a check
on the title credit for that, because they copied a lot of his color palette for that movie.
Just the work that he did in comics. You think they copied it in the movies too?
Well, yeah, a lot of it, like during because he colored some of that Thanos stuff when those Thanos' children got introduced. He worked on those books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of his color palette, like for like the planet where the Soul Stone was. Yeah. That's like totally like color palettes Justin used and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I bet he didn't get jack shit from that.
Yeah.
Because I heard Steve Epting did get jack. Because I know the writer went online and complained about not getting any money for Winter Soldier.
Because they did.
Oh yeah, that was
a Brubaker.
Brubaker.
Well,
so did they ever do anything?
Something he said that like most comic writers make more money than TV writers.
What?
Yeah, one of his newsletters he put out like staff writers. He says that comic writers make more money than staff writers
on TV shows.
When you break down like them paying lawyers and publicists and fees and dues and taxes, their rates is like next to nothing compared to.
I still find that hard to believe, just because there's so much more money in TV.
But they're not getting the residuals and stuff. That's why they're striking right now.
Oh yeah,
not as much because a lot of stuff is streaming and everything.
Did they ever take care of Brubaker over Winter Soldier?
Wasn't around then.
Did they ever take care of Brubaker over Winter Soldier, or did they just kind of leave him out to hang?
No.
I don't. I think maybe got some kind of check, but probably.
I think they said it was like $5,000 and an invite to the movie or something.
Oh yeah.
I read.
Well, and their argument always is it was a character based off of Bucky, so it's like their little legal loophole of you didn't create this character; is a character already created.
Those 80s contracts don't exist anymore.
I think that's how there's a way around it.
Oh yeah, because Marvel filed bankruptcy, right?
So Robin, those guys have the better contracts.
Yeah. Yes. I know that
Brian
Hitch was upset.
Do I have?
What?
How bad a leg do I have? I think I'm like lagging super behind you guys.
I don't know. How would we be able to tell? Maybe it's because you're streaming and the video. What if you stop the video?
It might be because like whenever I try to talk, I'm talking over somebody unless there's a long pause.
Yeah. So if you stop the art video and see, see what happens. You might be able to
get better internet.
Everyone always says that. Everyone always says. Everyone yells at me about that too, and I'm like, dude, I'm in a nice neighborhood. Come on, I can't buy a cable company and tell them to redo infrastructure.
I've got as good an internet as you can get in northern Minnesota.
No, I have that AT&T fiber. It's like 1 gig upload, 1 gig download.
Fiber in Florida. I called those son of a bitches because I've been waiting for the
more
fiber optic.
Guests.
Oh, hey Jimmy.
Jimmy Ray is in the house.
Hey, I was still Andrew. How'd you guys talk this guy into?
We're getting the band back together, Jimmy.
My God, no! Look at this. I was
not invited, Jimmy.
I was already starting to fund me for Andrew's burial. I was like, oh my God, I think the guy died.
What? He's gonna kill you, Andrew? He's threatening death threats on.
I was like, no one's heard from him. I was like, oh my God.
3 kids, a full-time job, and a wife.
Oh yeah, I hear high pitched whining, crying, like, oh, I've got too many jobs. I'm so busy. Woe is me.
Yeah,
it's a lot of jobs,
and 2 of those kids are twins.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Feel bad for all the work that I'm doing.
I'm still tired from feeding those little kids every 2 hours when they were first born.
I learned years ago that how I do comics and what I wanted to do in comics, I could never have kids, and I accepted that.
No,
Jimmy.
Hey,
Jimmy. Thanks for showing up tonight, Jimmy. Good to see you as always. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry, I took Anna Havana out on a date. We went out to go.
Oh no worries. I know how these. I know how these things go.
Jimmy got into comics full time when his kids were all grown.
Oh, hang on, my audio cut out.
We can hear you.
I'll become a grandfather.
He can't hear us. Jimmy can't hear us.
Oh.
Jimmy, can you hear us?
We'll work out all the technical difficulties.
There it goes. That was weird. I started up my second monitor and the audio, I guess, went over there.
Oh.
Jimmy, are you in a new room? This looks different.
Oh no! I finally we bought the house a year ago, and I was working off of like a tiny little desk, and I just crammed everything on it. Mm-hmm. And when we bought the house, I got a whole setup for the office and paint and everything. and it just sat in boxes. And I finally, now that I, like, you guys know this, like going with Andrew, I can sympathize. Like Andrew saying, you don't have any free time. So when I was freelancing, dude, I had no free time, and now that I got my own book, I'm like, I'm my own boss now. If I want to take the time to assemble some IKEA furniture, I can do it. But it felt wrong.
When I get free time, I don't want to do anything around the house.
Yeah.
He's like, not even hug my kids. I don't even. Kids don't. You won't get hugs today, kids.
This summer, once Superiors is done. Once Superiors is done, I want to redo my whole studio and like take everything, tear it down to the baseboards and restart, because it's just after how long, it's just piles of books and comics and crap, and I just want to. Like, your setup behind you, your studio looks awesome.
Yeah, well, Anna is helping me with fulfillment, but she's not here right now. But that's her workstation back there. So she's got her own little workstation. And for pictures, I'm gonna use her area because it's like super clean and neat.
I shipped a bunch of books out today, and I was at the post office talking to the guy and signed the books over, and he pushed this one back to me. And he's like, It's got no label on it.
No.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet it was the last one, and I bet you the label sitting in the printer. I'm like, I'll figure it out when I get home.
You should have told them 1 star, man. 1 star. You don't know where this is going. 1 star, dude. That's it.
Just make it happen. But I got home and there was no label in the printer. So
dude, so you got to open it to try to figure it out.
I'm gonna have to reopen it and figure it out.
Look at this. Mine just came in. It's right here. It's all still smells new. Instead of the little tape
look at
on
that
it.
beautiful
Look at that.
thing.
Getting ready for fulfillment. Look at that.
Dude, that is sweet. I thought about getting one of those.
Thermal laser.
Starting to cleanse. I was gonna talk to Greco about doing fulfillment. I don't want to go through that house.
No, I hear they're expensive. I think Critical Blast, I think, would be somebody if you don't want to do fulfillment like Critical Blast.
I know Critical Blast has been doing a lot of fulfillment stuff, and a lot of people talk to him for that. So
yeah, I've heard people say positive things.
What was Greco telling me? They were telling me about $7
per book.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to look into that because that doesn't
I
sound
called them
right.
up one day and was talking to them, and the lady told me it was about $7 a book.
Doesn't sound that bad.
That's with shipping. They're probably shipping.
That's what they're packaging and shipping it with in the mailer boxes, the Gemini mailers and stuff.
And that includes Gemini mailer.
That's what they told me.
I just bought Gemini mailers over here. Behind me, I don't know if you can see that huge boxes. Those are all Gemini mailers back there, and I have Gemini bagging boards. I went full Gemini, and
that's what they told me when I called that day. So
why is Clint doing a TikTok girl? He's doing the Twitch girl. Look at this.
I was trying to show my Gemini mailers behind me.
Oh, well, let's see it.
Just because they just got into the fulfillment, they're
trying to cut a deal. It was expensive, by the way. This was like $500 just for the Gemini flash mailers. Like they're very expensive.
I cut out during the folding process, but
I thought you knew it. No. I gotta go for it later. So you call them up and see. Maybe they see what they tell you. Well,
I'm gonna look into it because if that is real, man, like there's gonna be a lot of people jumping on board for that because, like, literally, I mean, all of us who've gone through a campaign, shipping is the thing that gets you, and it gets everybody. Like you don't know how hard it's gonna be until you get there. So if CoMiX Wellspring is doing that at a reasonable price and they can just ship them right out of their warehouse where you're printing and doing everything, that also saves you shipping the books back to your house.
I mean,
whatever a couple $100 that is.
I mean, Andrew knows that we've done this once before. Fulfillment. So as long as it's under 500 backers, I think doing it myself is where I'll save the money.
Work full time. Wife works full time. Nobody has time to.
That's true. I mean, like for me, I mean, I could stop in between books and fulfill. And I think I could pay more attention, more care to backers. you know, and so I'd rather do that because right now it's real important to me. Quality check right now is, you know, my backers need to get the best, you know, that they can get, and I'm real anal about it. So
I've already promised that I'm licking every cover, so I have to do that here.
Yeah, so, you gotta lick them.
That saliva is
every cover gets a
little Rob DNA in every book.
DNA out to all your backers.
Here comes all the refunds. They're like, it's got damaged. It's got Rob's DNA on it.
They're like, wait a minute, dude. You said you were gonna lick this cover. This looks like you sucked on it. The cover's all warped and shit.
Why is the cover all rippled and warped in this book?
Yeah.
Hey, no matter what I do, I give 200%, whether I'm licking or drawing.
Oh, I thought you were saying licking or sticking.
Licking or sticking.
Andrew, do you want to see an upcoming page for Dragon Rage that you're going to be coloring?
No,
I'm working on this page right now, and shut up.
Share it over.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I have it shared.
Oh, here we go.
So here is but it's not 1080p. But if it was 1080p, you could see all my line work. I tell everybody that. I even told John Malin that, and he got offended. I'm like, man, you're not streaming in 1080p.
I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can.
Why is it not zooming there for you? Oh, okay. I was zooming, but it was like a little lag. But
yeah, like I think I'm on a serious lag here because I keep talking over everybody.
So so the guy is like, he's like, hey Andrew, check out my line work. That's what he's doing. He's pointing right there. What do you think?
Wait a minute. Lines? Is he pointing to his sword or his penis, Jimmy?
Yeah, I have no idea which one.
Come on, dude. What are you doing?
Line work on my cock.
It's actually in the dialogue. There might be a little bit of he might be he's talking to a young lady and he's a little bit like, hey. So I don't know if we're able to show booty. I forget. So
my name is William Hung, but everyone calls me Well Hung.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like Clint's used that before in a bar.
Right? At a bar in the winter when he was like 5 beers deep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5 beers deep and I'm looking for the girl that is already a case in.
Oh, dude, you're just peeling her off the floor, you sick bastard. Jimmy, isn't that the girl sword though?
Yeah, it's her sword.
It's her sword.
The pages look gorgeous, Jimmy.
Like here is a pencil version.
We've seen this. Yeah, we've seen this when it was in its drawing stage.
Yeah. How do you stream at 1080p through Stream? You have to buy the StreamYard monthly thing.
Yeah, I use Melon. Melon, I get it for $15 or $12. $12, I think, for life.
So what StreamYard does? What 720p?
720p, but if you want the 1080p, it's like $50 a month. And Melon has a code that we they shared with me. And if you use the code, I think it's still active. I know for a limited time you were able to get it for the $15. So they have a code that you use, but I think it might still be active. I don't know. I mean, it's been a while.
I stream on OnlyFans at 4K. So
4K. That's what. Yeah, they need to see every bump and every imperfection.
All the detail.
All the detail.
They got to see that licking saliva. So
yeah,
I give my fans what they want.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still going through. It's going to take me at least another 6 weeks, Andrew, before I can get it to you. But I'm praying that you're not going to be super busy because I'm like, I need a time. Or I'm gonna try to cancel you. Hey, have you guys heard what Andrew has said about your company?
Oh, just so he has something. Dude, come on.
Just so you're ready. So the only thing you're working on is Dragon Rage, you know?
Oh,
if anybody in the chat hasn't checked out Dragon Rage, I just posted the link there in the chat. So definitely check out Jimmy's book. It's an awesome book. It's still in demand. So definitely jump on that book. You can see all the amazing artwork that Jimmy's doing with this right now. So definitely click that link.
Here's my He-Man moment.
Nice.
My character has. I'm working on this page here.
How much wind is blowing up his skirt there?
Maryland. It's total Maryland. He's going Maryland. You know.
My balls were so sweaty. Let me stand here for a second.
Yeah, he's like, he's magic to cool them. How do you keep them so?
How many pages is this book?
Well, the comic itself is 40, but the story itself, I think, is 36. Might be a little more, might be 38.
So you doing staples, or are you doing the glue thing?
No, we're doing saddle stitch staples. I talked to the printer. And
I think everybody should do saddle stitch staples. Like I did, like when we did Kill Switch and Sea Dog, we did that flat bound on the side, and it sucks for double page spreads. Like everybody wants that big splash page. It's like you can't even open the book up.
You gotta break the book in two to see the double page spread. Yeah.
And like it looks good on your bookshelf, but it's terrible for reading. So I like do everything saddle stitch now. I
got the one it's like a 40-page book, the Batman one that Danny Mickey did with Ivan Rice and or Ivan Rice. Is that what it is? And when you open it, oh god, these pages smell so good. Oh my god, they're matte paper. I want to go matte like this, and I want to go cardstock like that on mine. But when you open it, because it is glued, I can't. Yeah, it goes. And I can't.
And then you ruin the book.
Yeah, and then I get the indentation on the, even though it's got the little crease on the
spine. It bends the covers on the front and the back.
Yeah. Now after I open it, now it just sits open. You know, it's like. So I'm not a big fan of that.
Especially with 48-page books, it's like it's not quite big enough for that trade paperback size. I think saddle.
You're not supposed to read it. It's a comic book. You're supposed to stuff it in a.
It's just a collector's
bag.
Oh yeah. Put on my wall behind me.
Get it CGC graded and plank it in plastic and
exactly.
The problem is with me is like this is how I'm behind. Like I don't really have the time to read, and Andrew probably hasn't read a comic since 1985. He's so busy. But look at my pull list. This is my pull list, and like none of them.
When Rebirth happened, I bought all those Rebirth books. Yeah. And I literally had 3 months of Rebirth books stacked up higher than my bed, and I literally had to like give up and go put them in the garage.
Did you have to call the comic shop to cancel your pull list?
Yeah, because I used to order from that place that DC uses now for their fulfillment.
Oh yeah, okay.
I used to order from them, and they would just ship it to the house.
DC would just ship their stuff to me.
So directly.
Yeah, you just come copies, right? And just get
it. Until they didn't want me to work for them anymore. And then all of a sudden
they started doing because I know Brett kept complaining about all the books, and they finally did the digital code thing on Comixology.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, I had that for a little while.
You can look at stuff and not have all the crap. Like, I mean, just at a certain point, it's like, where are you putting all this stuff?
Oh yeah, I was getting like once a month. He was getting a big old U-Haul box shipped to his house.
It was fun. Jeez. It was like Christmas because I give all that stuff to the fans when they buy prints. So I would open it up and I'm like, I would put all the Batman hardcovers on one side and all the Superman covers. I had hardcovers and trade paperbacks. So I had them all sorted like I was a little kid on Christmas. But then all the floppies, I'd be like, what am I going to do with this shit? I give the fans all my trade paperbacks and my hardcovers when they buy stuff. So they just went into boxes. They'd go right back into the same boxes that DC would send me everything.
Yeah, clincher lagging. When you move, there's like a shadow thing, like it's slow-mo.
Oh no.
Yeah, see the blur.
Oh, the blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I could tell I've been lagging for a while because like I was trying to like talk with you and Rob when you were talking. It was like every time I stomped all over somebody.
Maybe you should unplug your computer and like hardwire it to the modem.
Oh, are you Wi-Fi? You're streaming Wi-Fi?
Me right now? Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
You need Ethernet. You need a Cat 8
I'm Ethernet right now.
Yeah, we're all cabled up.
Yeah, I haven't ran into too many problems with it before. Like I've been streaming for a while, and but yeah, tonight I can tell the lag is there for whatever reason. So
yeah, you need the Cat 8 cord, and that'll help, with the transmission and plug directly in your modem. Back on your computer.
Jim, what camera are you using? What are you using? Like a DSLR?
Yeah, I have a DSLR.
That's a sharp picture there, buddy.
Well, it's
using a cheap $70 webcam.
Oh yeah, no. Webcams. I mean, webcams are great, man. But I went with the DSLR because back in the day I wanted to be a YouTuber. I was planning on it right before quarantine. I'm gonna be a YouTuber, and then I found crowdfunding. So now I've got a camera that's overkill for crowdfunding, but it's in the lens. I have an $1,800 lens, and it's the lens that does it, and then the setting. It's not really so much.
Did you steal it? How do you afford $1,800 lens?
Oh,
my car's not worth $1,800.
I sold a David Finch cover that I inked.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
I think
you can buy an assload of lenses.
Yeah,
I thought you said 18mm lens.
Oh no, 1800 for just the lens. Yeah, and basically it was almost a straight trade for the guy was a friend of, I mean, a fan of Dave Finch's work, and I was like, well, I'm a fan of your camera store, you know. I need a camera lens, so he actually gave me the cash, and then I spent it back at the store. I guess I don't know, paperwork or something. I don't know.
Jimmy doesn't buy stuff. He just goes to like flea markets and shops, and he's just trading back and forth. Like
I do. I'm like, I got a Rob Hunter autograph right here, so.
They're like,
with licked DNA involved in it. There's a lick on it, so
still got Jimmy, you don't understand artwork somewhere.
You're supposed to pay a homeless kid who's living around the corner to the store. You pay him $100 for that lens. He runs in, he steals it, runs around the corner. You give him $100. That's the new America, my friend.
That's the new America.
Yeah.
Come on, man! $1,800 for a camera lens.
Yeah, I wanted, like I said, I was taking
YouTube
serious, and I got to be honest all the time.
It's Rob's idea of charity is giving the homeless kid, like there's homeless kids in Rob's neighborhood, first of all. Yeah. And so instead of like helping him out, Rob gives him $100 to go steal him stuff.
Please, sir, more soup, sir. And he's like, go in there and get me a camera lens.
I'll be like, this is my Christmas list for my wife. So you run into that jewelry store, and then you run into that Target, and you grab stuff off the list. I give you $20 for each thing you bring me back. And they're like, all right.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Can you imagine how terrible that would be?
You've seen that like seagull that goes in the store and steals a bag of chips? Yeah, I trained that bird.
I was gonna say, wow.
Or the squirrels.
Pay for chips. I learned from Rob.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's a teaching moment here on live streaming. So
yeah.
Everybody listening, if you ever need something and you can't afford it, you pay a homeless kid to steal it.
And that is how you become a professional comic book artist, kids.
Especially if you live in one of the states where that homeless kid won't even go to jail. So like California, then you just like boom, boom, boom. And if you do it right and you can make a business out of it, you can have an eBay store where you sell all that stuff. So it's all
it's not just being like a ghost inker, penciler, colorist. It's the same difference, right?
It's literally it's almost pure profit. And then what's really funny is when you pay taxes that year on all your eBay profits, you include what you paid the homeless kids to steal the shit. Yes, deductions.
Those homeless kids are an awesome write-off.
As a consultant?
Consultant fee? You put them as deductions. Like you're taking
like you have to give the homeless kids $10.99.
Because they're not filing taxes.
Well,
no one's filing taxes for them. So you put them as a deduction.
Good luck to the IRS to find my homeless kids. Like,
you had to question them.
I'm changing the subject. Look at these awesome colors by Andrew Dollhouse. Look at that. Look at that magic.
Wait a minute.
He does.
Why doesn't Jimmy show up and he's hyping it? He's been pushing his book for 10 minutes.
Jimmy
we haven't seen him
like literally, I don't think me and Rob have brought up our books to promote.
Are you serious? You guys are.
This is why Jimmy's doing good and we're not.
Hour 34, and I'm
I wake up. Children. I go, where can I plug my book? Let's go. Let's search the internet. Let's find it.
You gotta be a salesman. You gotta be a salesman. You gotta push product.
Well, Jimmy, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, 24/7. I'm plugging the book everywhere.
I got a bounce, guys.
You got to bounce.
Yeah, I stayed longer than I should have.
Yeah.
And I think we can wrap it up. We ran another. When did we start? We ran an hour and a half.
1 hour and 30. Yeah. So Andrew, when you're coloring Dragon Rage, though, I don't want to see you streaming.
Oh, Andrew's gonna be he's gonna be a regular guest from now on.
Yeah, he's gonna be a regular guest when he's. Yeah. I got some good news too. Some big stuff coming up for Dragon Rage Andrew. I'll be you know what it is, but I'll be sending it to you pretty soon. So we'll be getting started on that. So yeah, but it's not ready to share it with the public yet, but we will. Yeah.
We at least need to see
everybody on the
superiors.
replay. Check out Dragon Rage. Check out Death Raiders in Demand, and check out the Superiors. And maybe someday Andrew will get off his ass and do a crowdfunding.
Yeah, Andrew,
maybe,
where's your Andrew's got a book in the works. He's gonna be bringing it out.
Rumors.
I got to see a little glimpse of it. It's
There's
pretty
rumors
badass.
Speculation, Mr. Dollhouse has something going, but nothing is yet to be proven.
I'll tell you one thing. It looks good. It looks good. And I know the colors can be kick-ass. Because the colors he does for us, nothing what he's going to do for himself. He's going to go levels above and beyond for himself.
You know he's saving the good stuff for himself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you know it's going to be a beautiful book, man. So I'm just going to...
The thing is he doesn't have to chase himself down to ask him where his colors are.
Well, I'm writing it to be visually inclined with what I want to do also. So,
well, we all did that.
Yeah.
You write what you want to draw.
Yeah.
I didn't write anything that I'm like, oh god.
I'd recommend putting huge boobs on at least one of the characters.
Or booty on the
least
cover.
One
Worked
of the
for me.
characters.
Yeah, booty on the cover. That was a nice booty show.
I know that when I first designed my Anna character, and I wanted her to be more realistic, like, dressed and stuff. I'm like, well, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, I put her in a short skirt for a cover. I realized she wasn't slutty enough for comic books and for superhero type stuff. So when I designed my cyborg chick, she's in like a thong leather PVC type outfit because I was just like, oh, dude, you gotta, you're not even at 70K, man, 17K. You gotta sex this shit up. You gotta get to 20, man. You gotta get to 20, and then you gotta get to 25, and then you gotta get to 30. So you gotta sex the F out of this book. So
you're not
remember,
wrong.
Andrew.
Those
sex.
That's all good advice.
You're corrupting a family man up here. He's got young children. Your book's got to be naughty.
Grandfather can't be talking that stuff
around. I know. That's why when the grandbabies come over, I switch it. I'm like, oh, where's my Spider-Man comic? Where's that?
All of a sudden, everyone's innocent and no one's ever paid a homeless kid to steal stuff.
Nice
I don't suggest doing that, guys.
Nobody's judging you, Rob.
Hey. And while we're at it, no one here has ever trained a band of homeless kids to take over a bank or a power station.
That's an idea for a movie, though.
Or a local community.
A good story. What if a young kids get superpowers and they go in and they start like robbing places and.
What is that? Beat Street 3?
Wasn't that one movie that way? The one with the crazy camera angles? The kids got the superpowers.
Like Lava Boy and
from the alien device.
Oh.
No, was it? Do you guys remember that? The one with had the extreme camera angles? I couldn't really watch the movie because it made me sick, gave me motion sickness.
Oh.
But they got superpowers from like a
Michael
alien
B.
meteorite.
Jordan's in it.
You're talking about that Akira ripoff. The guy that did Fantastic Four, Josh Trank.
Was it Chronicles?
Chronicle.
Yes.
Chronicle. The live video footage or whatever.
Yeah,
they turned evil.
Holding the camera. Yeah,
that's exactly what I would do if I got.
That was big time Akira ripoff, dude. It was just.
Oh, it was.
Oh yeah, the last 15 minutes. It totally ripped off from the last 15 minutes of Akira.
Panel to panel. He's in the gown.
The powers, the whole shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I never read Akira.
It was total Akira.
Like, all he had to do was go Tetsu, like
Tetsu, yeah. Did you see the clown biker gang in it? Now it would have been Akira. You know, that was it. I was like,
I was watching.
Oh my god!
Like, holy shit, this is Akira.
Well, but then again, the Man with the Iron Fist was a Ninja Scroll ripoff. You know, what's the one that
I didn't watch that either?
RZA did.
Yeah,
the Man with the Iron Fist. It was just
he's such a
Ninja
bad
Scroll
actor.
ripoff.
How did you sit through that?
Well, Van Helsing was a Vampire Hunter D.
Oh yeah,
that was Vampire Hunter D.
That design for Van Helsing was they straight out stripped that out of Vampire Hunter D.
Vampire Hunter D, yeah, it was.
The movie wasn't just that design, right? Because that movie.
Where did they rip off the gay Dracula? Where'd they get that from?
That was a shit movie.
Oh, Dracula. He was androgynous. He wasn't gay. It was. So I'm telling myself.
Jackson has made some really bad movies.
That was
and some of them
Broadway Dracula.
Broadway Dracula, yeah. He was trying to be in the wrong movie. He was trying to be a British Broadway actor or something. It was like
in an action movie.
It's not Dracula, dude. Not for Dracula.
But all the Wolverine movies were shit, anyways. Compared to what they could have been.
I'm hoping he gets one good one in Deadpool 3.
Oh,
they give him a good script.
I don't know, man, because I know that how the director of Deadpool 1 didn't come back for Deadpool 2?
Right.
And one of the reasons he didn't come back is because he wanted Deadpool 2 to be a bigger movie.
Yeah.
So we're hoping Deadpool 3 is going to be like this awesome movie with Wolverine in it because it'll be a big movie because Deadpool's super successful. We already know that the producers behind Deadpool don't want that giant spectacle. They are more interested in.
But everything's different with Disney now, man. Everything's different with Disney.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Everything's different with Disney.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that that's for the better. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
He should just go do an animated movie of his own making.
Who should?
That director, because he did that Terminator movie, and he didn't want to kill John Connor, and James Cameron made him kill John Connor. The first readings of that movie, and everyone hated it, and he took the blame for it.
What was the animated DC thing he did for the video game? That was so freaking.
It was the animatic for the Injustice game, I think.
Yeah, when he like has the kryptonite rock stuffed in Wonder Woman's mouth, and that whole thing, that was absolutely epic. I still.
He's one of the creators of that Love, Death Robot on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
I like that Terminator movie. Is this the one where it had Sarah Connor back?
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah, I like that one. I can understand
old Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Sarah Connor, and then the little Latin girl is supposed to be the new savior. That was kind of dumb, but it was cool to see Arnold again, and I like the effects they did with the new Terminator, where they had the metal Terminator and the liquid Terminator. It's all one Terminator.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. So
that chick, I was super jealous of her arms in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, the Terminator 2 when she was
the blonde lady that was fighting in the movie. The blonde lady.
Yeah,
she was ripped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was cool too with the superpowers, but she had the superpowers, but she ran out of water. You better give her water because she's running out of power.
Speaking of ripped chicks, I saw the chick in Ant-Man that was in the last season of Mando. That was the
Ant-Man,
yeah, the ex. Like that chick is yoked. Like her shoulders.
And she had like six-pack going in Ant-Man,
yeah. Like in Star Wars, you couldn't tell because she's got like the Federation or the whatever uniform on. But in Ant-Man, it's like, look at the delts on that chick. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she
can like crack walnuts with her hand.
Wait, in Mandalorian, we're talking about the blonde.
No, the chick that was ex-Empire that is now like she's being whatever they call it.
She worked for Moff Gideon.
Yeah, she's undercover for Moff Gideon.
Oh, the girl with the really short hair, the one that turns in the. turns in the guy.
Yeah, turns in Persian and then fries his brain.
Yeah, and then fries his brain. Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's one of those chicks that's really pretty, but also looks like a dude, so it like kind of screws with your brain a little. And as a guy.
Yeah, as I was saying, the really short. She has my haircut, and I'm like, I'm getting weird feelings. This dude's very attractive.
I'm very confused right now.
Yeah, I know what actress you're talking about, but I don't know her name though.
No, she's in Ant-Man. She's in the Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, she's
I didn't watch that.
That chick is butch.
I'm waiting for that to come to Disney Plus.
It is.
Andrew told me today. That's why I watched it today.
And every time I tell people, I'm like, we got Disney Plus, everybody's, and I go, oh no, we get it for free. We get it for free. Anna works for a communication company, so we get all our streaming services free, except for Amazon.
It's not that coaxial splice.
All right, I'm gonna bounce because my wife is gonna come beat me on camera.
All right, dude. We don't want to see that.
We'll shut her down for the night.
Have it as a special next time. You get beat on camera by your wife.
Yeah, we love to see you get beat up by your wife on camera. You know, that would be.
Awesome. No, we got to save it. We'll save it.
We'll make it a special thing.
I'll let you know.
The month.
Do a thumbnail.
Okay. Yeah, do a thumbnail of Andrew just like beating, bruising.
Next time.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up on that beautiful note. Keep that image in your head, everybody, for whatever's going to happen to Rob next time. Thank you, Jimmy, for showing up. Thank you, Andrew,
thanks
for showing up.
Thanks for the link, guys.
No, absolutely, all the time. Thanks for everybody in the chat for being here. If you're watching on the replay, everybody go to Indiegogo tonight. Go check out Dragon Rage in demand on Indiegogo. Go check out Death Raider in demand on Indiegogo. Jimmy's beautiful book sitting right there. And if you can, go check out Superiors. We're in our second 30 days, 3 weeks till closeout. So definitely check all these books out and go back them tonight. And we appreciate you guys all for being here. And everybody have a great Thursday night. See you later.
Bye-bye.
And double